This is a Hope 1032 podcast.
Just a warning, this episode contains topics that might be triggering for some people who are listening. If you need some assistance, contact Lifeline on 131114 131114.
To She Wasn't Born Yesterday for women who are 40 plus fabulous by the Empty Nest Chicks. I'm Janet Evans, ex-M&C Saatchi advertising creative who have won numerous radio and TV awards. Not that that'll affect us because we're doing a podcast.
And I'm Dr. Amelia Haynes, who has been a medical doctor for 30 years and specialising in sexual health and mental health and relationships, and I'm generally a very useful human being.
Well, we'll find out about that, but we are here to work together.
People tell me on good authority that I am.
Really? Yes, well, they never say that to me, so I think we're the perfect hosts for She Wasn't Born Yesterday. Dr. Amelia, today our episode is called Curveball, turning a devastating diagnosis into positive change. But back in the day, when I was regarded as a geriatric mum at 35, right, which really I found very offensive, I was pregnant and given like an amniocentesis,
yes,
I think it's called, which I think tests the amniotic fluid, which I'm not sure if they still do that now because...
Yeah, they do.
They do? Oh, okay, because basically they had to shove a needle in and, some stuff can go wrong, right?
Right. Yes, it is it's not without risk.
Yeah, right. But it was to find out whether there were any sort of, birth defects and all that kind of thing. But I mean, really makes you think, well, what are you going to do with that information? I mean, as parents, if you find out that your child does have a disability, I mean, in a way, it's just such a difficult dilemma, isn't it? I think for any parent.
Well, sure, but I think a lot of people haven't thought about it until it's right in front of their nose.
Well, that's true. Yeah. But, what do you do if you find out that they are going to be born with a significant disability? But particularly in light of us being 40 plus fabulous as you age, it must occur to you sort of what is going to happen. Assuming, you have the child and you nurture them to adulthood, what is going to happen to them, when you're no longer there to look after them. So today we are in fact chatting with the incredible Kirk Patston, PhD, Director of the SMBC, which is Sydney Missionary and Bible College, Centre for Preaching and Pastoral Ministry, sounds impressive, and his equally amazing wife, Lisa, who has a BA Dip Ed, and she's worked as an art teacher, public servant, deaconess, teacher's aide, and most recently in chaplaincy with Anglicare. Welcome to She Wasn't Born Yesterday, Kirk and Lisa.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Great. Together, you have actually set up a revolutionary idea in homes for people with disabilities. What a couple. What a story. Before we dive into that, maybe we should just rewind a little bit and tell us about, your earlier life when you got married and thought about having kids. What did you imagine your life might look like?
Yeah.
Well, we have a very long relationship. We met at Sunday school when we were 9, which is sort of
gorgeous.
So
which is too cute. Yes. Got married at 22. We both had a really strong sense that we wanted to serve in the world in some way, probably through Christian mission.
Can I just be rude and totally No, I just want to know, when you met one another at age 9, no, it's just curiosity, it's stupid, and Kirk, I'm so sorry.
We love it.
Did you like one another or did you actually ignore one another or did you think each other were irritating?
So Lisa's a year older than me, so she was more friends with my sister, who's 2 years older than me at 9.
But when we started fellowship in year 7, we became soulmates then.
Oh,
and we were on and off all through our high school. And it was, I think they used to run bets at youth group. Are they on or off? Because we were best friends. It's just, were we holding hands or not really?
Okay. Why did you become soulmates? Why did that happen?
Oh, it was probably opposites attract, although we wouldn't have thought like that then. I think because we became Christians at a similar time, we both loved the arts. Yeah.
We both loved ideas and we'd just sit and talk and talk and talk.
Love to talk. Oh, I was gorgeous as well. And, you know,
She is.
Very important.
And he was rich, so it was a terrific combination.
and we were in a Presbyterian church. There wasn't a lot of choice either. It's quite small youth group.
Are you feeling all right with this?
I'm
Kirk?
feeling fine.
Yeah, he's feeling fine. Okay, sorry, interrupted. Keep going. You were talking about much more serious things. Yes.
Yes. So we were actually beginning to explore cross-cultural work. We were going to do some ministry in Australia to get some experience, but we were looking at cross-cultural. So I guess I pictured 2 kids. I had this picture of us at an airport, each holding a kid.
Yeah.
Preferably your own.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that was the vision, and we were pretty idealistic. Anyway, we started that in a way. I went into Presbyterian ministry. Lisa was a Presbyterian deaconess. She'd also studied at Bible college for 3 years, and we worked together. We actually job shared for a Presbyterian church south of Newcastle. Then our first child was on the way, and little did we know that things were about to change.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us a bit more about that.
So our son Gerard was born 1997, and, you know, first-time parents. I was a speech pathologist in my background, so there was a little part of me thought, I don't think he's quite hitting milestones the way he should, but it's funny when it's your own. You rationalise it away.
Right.
So that was interesting. And our lovely community health nurse kept assuring us everything's fine. Our GP didn't say anything to us. But at 9 months, he started to develop funny jerking movements. And it was like, you know, I think Lisa and I were talking one day and I said, did you notice that in the rear? I just saw in the rear vision mirror that he sort of did this funny jerk. Anyway, our medical friend said, oh no, there's a startle reflex. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Everyone really, really, really wants to give you the good spin, the good possible spin.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's right. But the number of these jerks that were happening through the day just began to grow and grow.
They were always in clusters.
Yeah.
Okay.
And up to like 70 or 100 in a cluster, and several
Like a lot. That's
Several
a
of
lot.
the clusters, day and night. There was no difference with his wake and sleep pattern.
Yeah, and then this weird thing happened. This was sort of happening mainly in a December.
Yeah.
And then we got referred to a paediatrician who was, of course, on holidays, and it wasn't until sort of mid-January or so we got in to see her.
Yeah.
She said to us, don't pack a bag, go straight to emergency, where they said, oh, we think he can still see. And and the next thing, a lumbar puncture. They were thinking sort of some sort of meningitis or something like that. Meanwhile, it just sort of grew from bad to worse. Gerard was having hundreds of seizures a day. The type of seizures also evolved. So they were called myoclonic. He was then started to have atonic with drop attacks where his head would just crash down. There were along the way some
And how old is he now?
He's 27. He'll be 28 in March.
Yeah, the seizures went on uncontrolled for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a notorious seizure type that only happens in the first 2 years of life, and many things can cause it, and it's really rare, but everyone born with it, even if they do get control, which is very hard, even if they do get control within 48 hours, people still have intellectual disability.
Right.
Wow. And there was no sign of any of this in utero?
This is not in utero, no,
Right.
although... Do you want to take,
I had a liver condition which is connected to pregnancy, like very much like the diabetes you can get connected to pregnancy, called cholestasis.
Yes.
And the symptom of that is itchy extremities.
Yeah.
And our GP was away.
It's like getting jaundice. It's like that hangs around, the bile acids hang around. Yeah.
So our GP was away, and her locum just said it's normal to be itchy in pregnancy, my first pregnancy, but it was unbearable. When she got home, she ordered a blood test, and then she said, go straight to emergency, you or the baby will die. And so he was induced early, 5 weeks, but he was 3.5 kilos, a normal weight.
And at that point, everyone assured us that we'd caught the cholestasis early enough that it would have no impact on the baby. But it was funny, just recently, Lisa was filling in a form for an insurance company and was looking up how to spell cholestasis and chanced upon a journal article that is now linking cholestasis of pregnancy to intellectual disability, which nobody 27 years ago, nobody talked to us about that. They just said sort of bad luck, you know.
Did you feel better, though, when people actually did say, I think I see something, even if it was a bad thing?
Yeah, well, my liver function results were out of the norm, extremely. I think initially we were planning a weekend in Terrigal, our last little
Baby
holiday
moon.
before the baby. So initially I said, no, I'm going to Terrigal. And that's when she told me, you know, you or the baby. I said, okay, we'll go. I don't know what I said, but yes, we did go to hospital. I wasn't thinking so much that at that time. I mean, obviously in hindsight, it's good to be believed. And when the paediatrician, when we imitated the seizure, and she said, recognised it and said, go to hospital, I don't know if I used the word relief, because I think the initial reaction is just, why didn't someone tell me this? We thought it was a sleep disorder. We booked into Tresillian and now we're in emergency and they think it's neurological.
Yeah. I think people hate breaking bad news. Even doctors are hopeless.
Well, we've got some great doctor stories if you want to hear that.
You can let them roll.
Another podcast coming up.
Our paediatrician actually stepped back from her role and handed us over because she said, you seem like nice people and this is a terrible story and prognosis, so I'm handing you on.
Like basically,
that's how I
can't
cope.
She said, I deal with things like this through healthy denial. I'm referring you to a neurologist and I won't see you anymore. Good luck.
Well, lucky old her. But anyway.
And there's two others very quickly.
Yeah. Please.
The paediatric neurologist we did get allocated had no bedside manner. That's okay. He was probably good at his job. But he wouldn't answer our questions and wouldn't sign the Centrelink form for
That's irritating.
to get carers payment. And so the social worker stepped in and said, look, if he gets better, I'll assure you we will take them off. Just sign here. And so she then was a part of all of our interactions with him so that he would answer our questions. But probably the one that takes the cake is the neurological psychologist, the paediatric psychologist.
Okay.
He said to us, this is really sad. This is likely to be lifelong. Most marriages break up.
Oh, no, that was him. That was the neurologist.
He really
All the
lay
best.
it. Laid all
Straight
out in front of you.
90% of marriages will break up. I don't know. Good luck. So we got a lot of good luck wishes.
And such a lot of support. Wow, that's incredible that was the reaction. I mean, is it them sort of covering their tracks because someone should have picked it up much earlier?
I don't know. I don't know. It was just...
No, I don't think so. I just think doctors get very, and probably other health practitioners get very little training in breaking bad news. And I think some people are intrinsically good at it, bizarrely, and some people aren't. I would have been great at it, you guys. Because I've had bad things happen to me, I kind of do just spit it out. But I don't say I now need to leave. I say I'm coping with the fact that this is bad and tell me what's going through your head and, you know, more of that. So if some people are just good at bad news and actually people where bad things have happened, like these guys now, will be better at breaking bad news to their friends.
Have more empathy.
Various other things,
And so what was Jura like as a child and growing up? What was that like with him?
Yeah, so as an infant, he was certainly placid. Once the seizures came, he lost the ability to make eye contact. He had been sitting up, but that disappeared. He didn't talk till sort of, 5, 6, 7, toilet trained till 10. He outgrew a pram but still couldn't walk, so we were in kind of these wheelchairy pram things for several years.
And then a walker.
He needed a special frame thing to learn how to walk. So full on.
Yeah, intense care.
Yeah.
And he didn't, until the seizures got controlled at about 3 to 4, they started to have some control. His pattern was 40 minutes awake, 40 minutes asleep, and it was sleep, cry, seizure, sleep, cry, seizure.
Yeah.
So we stopped working.
Yes, I was going to say, how did that affect you?
We'd just take turns. Lisa's dad made this cot thing on wheels so we could lie on the floor and sort of push this cot to and fro.
Yeah.
But we'd just sort of have to do tag team of, okay, I'll do the next 8 hours, you go and sleep. Then, okay, now I'll go and sleep.
Yeah.
And we experienced a lot of kindness from people, and the Australian government's generous in times like that.
We lived off Centrelink for a
Centrelink
year.
and Love. We lived off.
And our church we grew up in, actually, that we got married in, they had their manse vacant at the time. So we moved away from ministry because we couldn't do all the appointments.
Yes.
Had a good epilepsy specialist, so here's another story. But we moved back to Sydney and they offered us the manse rent-free, and then people we didn't even know would bring food and groceries, and friends would offer to stay overnight so we could
Get some respite.
sleep. Yeah. So that was an amazing time.
And you had another child? Is that right?
Yeah, so 2.5 years later, another son came along.
Yep.
This is a very brave decision.
Yes, I was going to say.
What was the general feeling?
Well, we'd seen genetics people at the Children's Hospital at Westmead. At that point, they said that we can see no cause of this. It's just a random thing. So they didn't advise us otherwise.
Or anything,
And tell us about your second
It was
son.
a small risk. Our second son started wobbly, so he seemed to be having possibly seizures. They think it was probably a urinary tract infection. He also had severe jaundice like Gerard did. He had to go under lights because I had the same condition, but this time it was treated sooner with a bear hormone. That's another story.
Fascinating. As in teddy bear or
As in grizzly bear.
polar bear? Oh, grizzly bear. Right.
Yeah, so he was a bit worrying for the first few years. And then, being our second child and first, we thought, without problems, you have the sadness of him taking over in his milestones to Gerard, and then how they related or didn't. With time, our other son found it quite embarrassing.
Right.
And tricky to have friends over.
Yeah.
So the impact of Gerard's life was not just now on ours, but
Yes.
our sons. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at 40 plus fabulous, we know we're not going to be around forever. We were talking about this before, but did that ever creep into your minds, and did that sort of inform this idea that you came up with to think, well, what are we going to put in place for the future?
So both of us are getting close to 60. Gerard's getting close to 30. And I think in my head I thought, okay, by the time he's 30 and by the time we're 60, we really should have a sense of where's he going to live when we're gone. And then we began to think, well, if we're going to put creativity and work into that for him, can we do something that will benefit more than just him? Sometimes we think, oh, that was a stupid thought because it has overwhelmed us.
Why do you keep thinking about other people? Like, how much are you just addicted to that? I know.
Can I go back to your
Yes,
point
you can.
about children? We'd always thought we'd have 2 children anyway, at least, replace ourselves.
That's right, the airport scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they can learn to get on with others and, anyway, we had Manning not to care for Gerard. We had Manning because we thought we would always have another son.
Yes.
Or daughter. And then with his experience of Gerard, we thought it's sad that he's alone and hasn't got someone to whinge to about it except us.
Absolutely. Yes.
And what a big, even if he didn't want to take on Gerard, what a big responsibility over sort of hanging over him.
His life.
So we went for the third, didn't we? We went for the third. And then our daughter, we found out at 18 weeks, had an encephaly, a terminal condition.
Yes.
Again, we never thought of terminating, so we had a practicing Catholic obstetrician who didn't do termination, so even though at the ultrasound they referred us immediately to have a termination, we didn't.
Wow. Automatically.
No judgment on those who choose.
Yeah.
This was for us. And we went full term, over term actually, because she didn't have enough head to engage. So she was induced cholestasis again.
Yes.
But didn't live. So that was, to me, a sad ending. I live with regret that our other son doesn't have anyone to share the future responsibilities. And I think that's fed into us wanting to set up something that will help provide for Gerard Christian community.
But will also protect your other son.
And take the onus off him. I hope he remembers his birthday and Christmas and visits occasionally. You can't put that on him.
No.
But at least he won't be alone. He will have this model to support Gerard.
Yeah. So tell us about this model. It's fascinating, and how you came up with it.
So we came up with it, I guess there's a few influences. Back in the 1960s, there was a Catholic priest who was a chaplain to what was an institution back then for, I imagine from reading the stories, it's for people with living with psychiatric illness, and it's for people living with intellectual disability and so on. So they grouped together in an institution. And he madly just thought one day, what if I were to invite 2 or 3 of them to come and live with me? And so was born this idea that you could take people out of institutions and you could live as a household community, Christian community, of people with and without disability.
It could have well at the start been he was having a sabbatical and he thought about his own spiritual formation, an act of kindness to have these people live with him. But what came out of the arrangement was that he found mutual blessing, that they actually changed him and gave him something of the nature of Jesus and slowed him down and made him think about what really mattered in life and that we all need connection to God and each other. Bit more sacramental kind of view, perhaps, but still provided a great model of equals living together, mixed abilities living together in community and not all paid.
And that idea is spread around the world now. So there are L'Arche communities, they're called, after Noah's Ark in French. They're all around the world.
And they're all faith-based communities, but not all Christian faiths now. They take on the faith of the culture they're in.
Oh, okay.
But they all have a spiritual dimension.
So that was sort of one idea that's sort of feeding into this. Also, we began to be aware of the discipline of disability theology that's been sort of bubbling away for the last 20 years or so, and realising a lot of people were thinking about how can churches be more welcoming for people with disability. So I went off and did some study in that area so that in my lecturing job I could start to feed that in. So that was an influence. And then the fact that Australia was moving toward person-centred ways of caring and funding disability. And so then with the arrival of the NDIS, it's time for reimagining how can you do disability accommodation, not so that it's set up by a company that's running a business or running an organisation and doing it the way they want to do it, but how can you start with people themselves and say, what do you want? And the NDIS, at least on, in theory and
theoretically,
and often, and you can sort of get there, allows for that. So all those sorts of themes are all there.
It's a good time for you to actually be thinking about this, I have to say. A good time in kind of history and certainly in Australia, but even around the world. Anyway. Exactly.
Yeah. Like I often feel like it's an idea whose time has come. That we're sort of ready now as a culture to think about, okay, so imagine somebody like Gerard is moving out of home. He's going to get mixed up with language. He's going to have trouble imagining the future. He's not always going to express himself correctly. But
he's not going to have enough money to be on the open rental market and not cope with being moved every year or 3 if you're lucky.
In the open rental market, that's right. So you start to put that together and you say, well, could we imagine a world where Gerard could choose his staff? Is that possible? Could Gerard choose who he lives with? Is that possible? Could Gerard have a house that's stable where, he pays rent, but he knows that the landlord is not going to kick him out? And we know, as we age, that he's not going to be moving around. So
basically, can you transition him to that before you're impaired or go?
Yes. And another unique thing with our place is that the houses be connected to the community, so walking distance to a community, shops and a church, a local church. So many houses for people with disabilities are far out, I was going to say, far out. Literally.
Long way away.
A long way from transport or community, which disconnects you. And a lot of people living with disability only have paid friends, we call them, only have support workers in their life. So this model, it's people they want to live with, people work with, a culture that aligns with their faith, close to community for connection. So it ticks a lot of boxes.
And we've, amazingly, Gerard's been part of a beach mission team and along that experience has made friends with somebody his age who doesn't live with disability, essentially works as a social worker at the moment. They're friends, and this young man has said, I'd like to live with Jera. So going back to that Larsh model, so we've managed to achieve that. So there's a 2-bedroom granny flat for him. We call him the neighbour. And we've got a 5-bedroom house for people with disability, but it's a community. So that there's not just support workers, it's a real community.
So it's called Our Place Christian Communities, is that right? And so is there just one place at the moment?
We've just started.
Yeah.
There's just one. We're seeing, can this happen? Is this actually feasible?
Yeah.
Can you do it? What do you have to do to make it happen? Yes, we've only got one. And at the moment we're gathering other people to live in it. So it's very, very new. Wow. We do have other families dotted around New South Wales and beyond who are watching us carefully and saying, we really like this model and please help us to get started on this journey.
My feeling is the government would be really interested as well. They'd be watching as well.
Well, yes. Actually, well, just 2 weeks ago, we showed the house to the New South Wales Minister for Disability Inclusion, and she came and she loved it. She said, "This is
she going to move in?"
Here we go again.
One of the biggest needs, well, there's lots of needs, but is being able to find affordable housing. The model is that another entity, that's a charity, owns the property and rents it out, owns an appropriate property in location and facilities, and they rent it out for life, really, and at an affordable rate. So there's the security there, especially if on the spectrum. But for all of us, we all want affordable, suitable, secure housing.
Absolutely.
And for people who don't have a voice to advocate for themselves or earn an income, that's particularly important. And when the interview happened with Minister, we were pitching for shared equity or some form of assistance to purchase these places because it's a shared place, and at the moment the shared equity model is more for families or individuals that meet certain criteria, but a group of people with disabilities and not disabilities, it's a harder thing to fund, and banks don't want to touch it. And you can imagine that bigger premise, having the neighbour and then 2 or 3 people with a disability and room for an overnight support person, that sort of house is not going to be cheap. So that's a factor to provide this, and it gives it longevity. If the families all put in money, if they could afford that and not rip off their other children because they're putting all their money into the one with the disability. If a family could afford that, it would be tricky as people died and who, who would own it. So the model is that it's owned by a Christian entity that's goal is to provide this housing so that it can be used for others. And if that's not suitable once those people have passed on, it can be sold and one bought for another group of people.
It does sound, though, like the kind of thing you would think the government would be able to go, yes, I can see that actually this helps us, so we could slide a proportion of money into it because it's actually helping us. Anyway, I still feel very hopeful for you guys on that front,
But I'd love to know too, like, what are the benefits, what are the mutual benefits for the person with the disability and for the people who don't have the disability to be living together?
Yes. So the neighbour in our community at the moment says he loves the fact that he can come home every night and he knows as he walks through the door he's going to be greeted with great enthusiasm from our son. And all the complexities of his social work job, he can leave them behind because he knows they're going to be doing karaoke or they're going to be playing the Wii or...
Wii bowling.
So, he gets to step into a different world and he really loves that.
It's like active meditation. I always call it to my clients. This kind of thing, active meditation.
Right.
That's not copyrighted. You can use it. Yes.
And for him, he's taken that on knowing he's got his own space and place, but they have meals together. So this way, it's a natural meal table with the neighbour there. The support person's there, but they eat too. They're part of the community. It's a place of hospitality. Gerard regularly invites others over. He's an inviter. And it means he's expanded his motivation to cook and to clean up. He's learnt to ask people for they'd like a drink when they come in. He tries to ply them with ginger beer.
Could be worse.
He's learnt skills about tea and coffee. He can't do things independently, but he's motivated and he's learning and his skills have increased. And socially, because he's in a mixed ability house, he's learning, you can't do inverted commas on radio, but kind of more socially appropriate behaviour in relating through copying able-bodied people.
Right.
Whereas if you live in a home where everyone has a communication difficulty, it's really even trickier.
Not that you two have a communication difficulty and he was living with you. I just want to point that out. But anyway, you're both very good communicators.
And we think too for the support workers, the fact that the neighbour can be in for some of the meals also just makes their shift, it adds a different quality to their shift, and the making a conversation work over the meal table, it's more natural, and I feel like...
And also it's less isolated.
Yeah.
Before when you're talking about loneliness and everything,
yes.
this kind of does away with a bit of loneliness.
Yes.
Not all loneliness,
Yes.
but a bit.
But it also
Yes.
normalises. It's just normal life, isn't it?
That's right.
You're just doing life.
Yes,
Yeah, having
that's right.
meals together is a real unifier across cultures, isn't it? And across ability.
The house that Hope Christian Homes, that's the organisation that owns the bricks and mortar, the house that they bought, when we saw it, when they were putting in an offer, we saw this great big table in the dining room, and the people who sold it, Christian people who loved the vision, they said, we'll leave the table. And, that was a lovely
It
symbol.
sits 10 to 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
And it's what Jesus did, didn't he? He had meals with the marginalised and welcomed all. So we feel like this is, Gerard invites people to imitate Jesus.
And in Luke 14, it's about a banquet where you invite the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. So that's a really key thing to be thinking about.
I think Jesus did karaoke as well.
Oh, well, probably.
Just after he fed the 5,000, a little sesh.
And part of the model too is deliberately connected to a local church. So one little arm of Our Place Christian Communities is where our focus is these houses, but we realise as part of nurturing them, it's good if you can identify which church do the people in this house want to be connected to, and then how can we build the capacity of that church to feel strong in welcoming and inclusion and building mutual friendship and so on. So that's another little dimension that we're playing with.
Gerard and the other people with disabilities go to that church with the people who...
Yeah.
And because we are at this point in history, and yes, churches most certainly should be called this kind of thing, but actually a lot of the non-Christian communities call to this now.
That's right.
I do
That's
feel
right.
like it's a good time for this.
An idea that his time has come.
Yeah.
And having a place like this with the culture set up for invitation and hospitality means that he can have host Bible study there. He can host after-church meals there, picnic days. They've got a pool as well. So it means you can more naturally make connections and have something to offer. I think we can, and we were like this too, I'm sure, beforehand, you can think of people with disabilities as a burden or someone you have to give to.
Yeah.
But this way it provides an opportunity to realise they have so much to give and to make us rethink our whole view of what's valuable and of time and of Jesus' values as well.
I think people feel scared, which is just fine. They feel scared that they're going to get it wrong. They kind of want to do it, but they kind of think, oh, it's too hard. I'm scared. And this is kind of pointing out it's okay to be lazy. And now I'm doing the quotes.
Air quotes.
It's air quotes lazy. It's okay to be air quotes lazy because actually it's still helpful. Don't worry, guys. It's still helpful to be involved, even if it's made a bit easy for you. Yeah.
I love that idea of like perceiving people who have a disability as being able to give a lot themselves because, as you say, you kind of think of sometimes as being, oh, I need to give to support that person.
Yes.
But it's not a two-way street. But this way, and of course, everyone with a disability has something to give.
Yes.
Some talent, some musical talent in Gerard's case.
That's right.
Some sort of thing, even just joy or something like that to other people.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll catch on, internationally? Do you think it'll...
Well, I think in a way the L'Arche movement's already doing something similar. So I think it has caught on. So I think what we're doing is particularly saying, okay, for the Australian church and for the Australian NDIS scheme,
Yep.
what are the bits of the jigsaw puzzle
Yep.
that you need to pull together? And of course, the only people who do the deep thinking about this are the mums and dads. Like this is just what happens in the disability world. Mums and dads are exhausted. Mums and dads are also, some of them, even some of our contemporaries, are still saying, I don't want to think about my death. I don't want to think about this kind of planning. So there's sort of, there's healthy, unhealthy, whatever. There's some denial out there. So I think there's few people thinking deeply about this. So we're hoping that can be one of the gifts to the Australian community.
It's an option. It's an option for people. Some families, they're wealthy enough to buy their person with a disability a place. We're really targeting people with intellectual disability and neurodiversity who need 24/7 care and can't advocate for themselves because they're the ones who are most vulnerable of neglect.
Apparently there's about 40,000 Australians in that situation. So a big project has been at the moment to get the younger people like that out of nursing homes. So so that's been a project that a group called Summer Foundation have been working on. So we're sort of sitting in that world thinking about these 40,000.
And for those who want to live with others as well, not all people with disability want to live with others.
Some people are introverts and will like to shut the door and just go, no.
And,
watch Netflix.
And some families may have siblings who really want to take on this responsibility, but with the people we're targeting, it's likely you wouldn't be able to work full time. So one partner, just to do, if you're going to take on all of the coordinating of medication appointments, transport, if they can get work or voluntary work or bowling, someone has to be arranging that. So this provides an option for people of faith who want to live with others and have some stability for the future. And it's an invitation to the church to be blessed by these people and see it as part of our Christian walk, is to be people of welcome to all.
And I guess for us to be saying to the churches as well, okay, there might be people who aren't living in a group but are living alone and so on, but their needs for friendship freely given are just, they're real. And come on, God's people, you can be the ones who do this.
And also, outrageously, it's not awful.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful poem by, I can't remember his name, called Blessing.
So Discover the Blessing by Cameron
Simmons.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's a beautiful poem about...
So discover the blessing of an open door, discover the blessing of an open heart, discover the blessing of an open mind, and you'll find a pace of life that you didn't even know you needed.
It's beautiful. You'll find Kate and Joe and not Down syndrome.
Right.
Yeah.
Humanising it.
It's and he does it off by heart. He wrote it, I think, and he does it as a dramatic presentation, and it's so moving.
Discover the blessing.
And he's a Christian. He links it to Christ.
CBN/Luke 14.
Right.
We might put that on the pod notes.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the pod
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah,
I suppose
absolutely.
you'd have to be a little bit careful in terms of the people that you get in to live with people with disabilities, wouldn't you? Is there some
Correct.
sort of screening or is it?
Yes. So there's been a piece of this jigsaw puzzle that we haven't been talking about too much, that we are actually working with a disability service provider that gives us another reference point for staff training, quality management, compliance, all of that.
And there are
Definitely.
different providers out there that are bespoke, that have been started by parents, and that in our case we're looking for family governance. So it's a cooperative model. It's not the service provider creating the house and the culture.
No.
It's the service provider supporting the co-op made of family representatives, people who know the person with the disability well, as well as them, on the board, making the decisions about who to employ, about timetabling.
Who to be the next housemate.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
Yeah.
this is all very fraught. Like,
Yes.
you're
It
talking
is.
about it, very kind of easily, but man, this is
It
a big
is.
It's
topic.
very,
This is
it's
a big
really
topic.
hard.
It is.
It's very, why is there only one? We've been sort of at this for years.
Yeah,
Well,
I think 10 years it's
yeah.
journey.
So many processes to think through.
I was going to say, just to interrupt again, when I was studying for something or other, they had done a study of all the residential care for females with disability in Australia, and you had a 100% chance of being sexually abused, molested, whatever, 100% chance. So, I mean, that's just women and blah, blah, blah. Like, it also affects men as well. Like, this is a very
Totally.
scary, intimidating, huge
Tricky.
space.
But
Very
this
tricky
does,
to
this does
set
address
it
a
up.
lot of the issues that the Royal Commission brought up. One of the things that puts people in most danger is being isolated. So you're only with paid support and you're not having other connections. Because this has a neighbour, because it's close to community and connection to church, there's lots of people who can notice.
There's people walking in and out.
Yes.
Yeah.
More
Yes.
accountable.
As well as the family
Yes.
governance
Yeah.
model, which employs a house leader as well who's accountable to the governance model.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, of course, it's going to happen because I'm such a realist. Of course, it is going to happen, but you're wanting to do what you can.
Yes, and it was interesting actually, the Minister for Disability Inclusion, Kate
Yeah.
Washington, she said, as she walked through the house and we explained the model, she said, there are so many safety mechanisms here.
House rules.
That's what she noticed and was really pleased.
Yeah. Also, I think
yeah.
there might be perhaps the temptation, if you are living with people with disabilities and you're an able-bodied person, that you might feel that you need to step in and, do lots of things for them. And I don't know, there'd have to be that kind of safeguard for you too, I think. That you don't have to.
So it's interesting, our neighbour, perhaps because of his social work background, he's been very good at this. He says, I'm not a support worker.
Yep.
I don't want any NDIS money.
Yep.
I come in as a friend. I am not legally responsible for anything.
Yep.
I'm a friend visiting.
I'm a flatmate.
I'm a flatmate.
Yeah.
And so that's really clear to everyone. And so, you need that set up really explicitly.
Yeah. And so what's your plan for the future? What would you like to see?
Well, the fact that we've already got other families saying this is great and we want this, what we need, the Hope Christian Homes, that's the real estate dimension of this.
Yes.
They've worked out that if they could get 3 or 4 houses, then using the rental income, they could start to become self-sustaining. So we need another 2 or 3 houses, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right.
So that's one
We'll
thing.
see what we can do.
Initially, and I think this is happening in the Anglican Church, some denominations are looking at vacant church property that could be
great.
used.
Yes.
You can imagine if it's a manse too, it'd be
In fact, there's
very close.
There's an Anglican church on
it's
the
gonna be
northern
close,
beaches
it's going
that's
to be
now.
4 bedrooms, all of those things. Yes.
And yes, it is a ministry of
happening.
the church,
It is
but
happening.
actually it's a two-way street. And whether or not you get back, it's just what we should do as Christians. We started schools and hospitals. We should be in this. And unfortunately, the NDIS doesn't provide housing.
Right, okay.
And there's that ever-present bun fight between state government, federal government. Whose responsibility is this?
Right.
Yeah. And you can go on a 10-year plus wait list for social housing, but it's not necessarily appropriate. And as we've said, you can be isolated and you can be around others with issues, which isn't helpful for learning yourself. I mean, I think they've discovered that anyway, that you need to have community housing spread in a neighbourhood, not a whole suburb of it.
That's right, yes.
And then with our place, with the church capacity building, interestingly, a lot of people are interested in that. So Sydney Missionary and Bible College has got offerings in that. So does Mary Andrews College. So does YouthWorks. So there's a vision there that we're working on to have a generation of church leaders ready for this.
Yep.
So that's something that we're working on for the future. But the chaplaincy or the spiritual care of these communities, we swim in the Presbyterian and Anglican worlds, neither of whom have got resources to do anything about this at the moment. I mean, I hate to say this too loud, but our place, we were
You're
started
saying
with
it very loudly on radio.
our place had got a very generous grant from a charity to get moving, but at the moment, financial sustainability is not real for us.
Right. So what would you say to people listening? How can they support you if they would like to?
We're thinking next year of actually launching a campaign to sort of, let's get a chaplain a day a week for this house, and can we build up our body of partners to do that? So that's something we're thinking about.
I often think that people with this level of disability are like an unreached people group.
Yes.
I think perhaps in the past we've thought they don't need the gospel, or they won't understand it, or I don't know what. They're a different category of humanity. I don't know what we'd say out loud. But they do need the gospel. Yeah. And so many, like we find with the marginalised, are actually quite receptive.
Yes.
And we're hoping that the chaplain model mightn't just be for our homes, but with enough funding, we could offer chaplaincy support to existing group homes that aren't necessarily Christian, because at the moment you can't get lifts to church if the people in the group home wanted to go to a church. They can't get a lift unless everyone wants to in the group home, including the staff.
And you're paying you're paying double time and a half on Sundays. So to pay a support worker to get you to and from church is actually a very big financial commitment. But so if local churches were if somehow we could think strategically that local churches know all the group homes in the area and have somehow reached out to them to say, we will provide transport.
I like the idea of a chaplain, because I think there's actually even more kind of work in this space which could take off and be really helpful to society, which is even like aged care homes. We don't need to talk about them today, but even you're kind of thinking, they are hardly touched by anyone either. So, it'd be lovely to bring them in as a non-scary part of the community too.
Yes.
This has scope. Obviously, there's heaps of people who can't get to church. So even if we can get churches to be thinking, what can I do? Who else could I pick up in the street to come along?
And so if people do want to donate, and I'm sure millions will after listening to this, it's just so compelling.
Yes.
What URL can they jump onto, and what can they do?
So ourplacecc.org.au.
Right, Our Place CC.
Of course, we always say pray as Christians, but it really is important to pray for people, particularly with these high needs who can't advocate for themselves, that they would find Jesus and find community. And obviously for sustainability and growth of this ministry and others like it. And advocacy. Think about how can you advocate for people you know with a disability in your family or church or community, for their friendship and inclusion, and to be given valued social roles. That's a trendy term, but we all have them, being a child, an uncle, a voter, a dog walker or owner. They're a valued social role, and people living with a disability, if they have a valued social role, it gives them connection and a sense of purpose, especially if they're not able to work.
Yes.
Everyone needs to be
wanted and needed.
Exactly. Like the whole retirement thing, I think, is overblown. Like these people still want to be useful to everyone as well.
And they are. Yeah. You know, even if you're severely disabled, you can be on welcoming.
Yes.
What does that say to the people who come in? If you're there on the welcoming desk smiling at the person who comes in, it's saying everyone is welcome here.
Yeah.
And we have had people say to us, they've said, if Jera's welcome here, we'll be welcome.
That's awesome.
You know, amazing. Being a friend. We all will walk past people even in the street, and perhaps our initial response might be to look away or to stare the other one or to wonder how they got the disability, but instead smile or say hello. Just treat people with disability as if they're valuable and they're people. Absolutely. And that will make a world of difference. You can also find out more. So there's courses you can do online, there's books to read, and there's websites. And Our Place is one you could look at, but also Christian Blind Mission has resources for Australian churches and online training in their Luke 14 program. And also there's a book called Everyone Welcome that's free to download that Louise Gosball put out for the Anglican Diocese on how to be disability inclusive.
Awesome.
Lovely.
Well, I just have one last question.
Okay.
What is your go-to karaoke song for each of you. Yeah, are we going, I Will Survive, Gloria Gaynor, or...
Well, it's funny. Jera's written a song about I sang The Gambler on karaoke. I knew all the words and it was great. So maybe I'd sing The Gambler with him.
Quite likes the duet too of
Oh, Don't Go Breaking My Heart.
with Kiki D.
That's a winner.
Yeah.
What about you, Dr. Amelia? What's yours?
I don't know. Everyone would want me to do karaoke. I've never done it. I can't sing in tune.
You're
massively,
perfect for it.
I know. So everyone would be laughing themselves senseless and they'd love it. I have no idea what I'd sing.
Do the locomotion. I'd pick you for a Kylie.
No.
Kylie.
Maybe Islands in the Stream with someone else. With someone else, you see, with you.
With Jera.
With you.
Jera.
No,
we could all go to Jera's
fine.
place.
Valued role of community musician.
Definitely. Well, Kirk and Lisa, thank you so much for coming on She Wasn't Born Yesterday today. We have learnt so much about this really exciting model, and I think it just makes so much sense. And it's just so awesome, isn't it, Dr. Amelia?
Yes, I think I have loved it.
Yeah, we love you.
Enormously.
Yeah, we love the idea, and there should be more of it.
Come and visit. Come to the
Yes,
house and
We
visit.
would totally love to.
Fantastic. Taco Tuesday. I reckon that's the one.
Yes.
Thank you once again. It's
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Gorgi, we hope you enjoyed this episode, but we'd love to get to know you better and share more about our lives, what we get up to, what you get up to, and some insider goss and cheeky sneak peeks.
So why not join our Facebook group? It's called She Wasn't Born Yesterday, for lots of little extras. Your chance to comment, make suggestions, tell us if there's a topic you'd like us to talk about.
Or just to say g'day. Either way, join us next week on She Wasn't Born Yesterday. We look forward to your company.
Hope 1032. Thanks for listening.